In this video, we're going to talk about the one-step challenge. In particular, we're going to have an overall of the characteristics of a one-step challenge, a little differentiation with the two-step challenge, and eventually we're going to figure out if you are ready to move from a two-step challenge up to a one-step challenge. Let's start first with an intro. I'm here on VeloTrade platform, crypto native prop trading platform, and I have in front of me three options: one-step classic, two-step classic, and one-step pro. Let's forget for a moment, let's set aside the one-step pro, which is a little different product, very low cost, with a static max drawdown. Let's focus on the one-step classic and the two-step classic. The first difference that you can see is in the price. The one-step classic is a little bit more expensive than the two-step classic. That's because in here you have only one phase, and here you have two phases. In this case, the one-step classic, you have to pass 10% profit target, and here you have to pass a 10% profit target plus a 5% profit target. So you can see immediately why the one-step challenge would be slightly more expensive than the two-step challenges. In the two-step challenge, you pay less, but you have to do more work because you have to go through two stages and achieve an aggregate profit target of 15%, 10 plus 5. While in a one-step challenge, you only have to achieve a 10% profit target and go through one stage, but in order to have this type of benefit, you will pay a little more. But this is not the whole story. In fact, probably this is not the most important element of the difference between one-step and the two-step challenge. Let's have a look why. If we continue to check the features of these two challenges, we will see that not only the profit target is different, but the daily loss limit and the max drawdown is also different. In a one-step challenge, we see that the daily loss limit is 4% against 5% for the two-step. And the max drawdown in a one-step challenge is 7%, while the max drawdown in a two-step classic would be 10%. These are very important differences. In fact, these differences in the daily loss limit and in the max drawdown are even more important than the difference in the profit target. In fact, the reason why many traders lose the challenge and never access the funded account is not because they cannot reach a 10% or a 15% in aggregate profit target, but it's because they hit the daily loss or the max overall limits, which in a one-step challenge are normally tighter than a two-step challenge. In short, the one-step challenge is definitely the fastest path to access to a funded account because the profit target is less. But you need to make sure that you understand your number properly and you have a good risk management strategy. Otherwise, you will lose systematically your challenge and you will have to invest a bigger budget in order to access to a funded account. Let's dig deeper into the one-step challenge account and have a look at the parameters that are a little stricter than the two-step challenge. Let's say that we purchase a 50K account. That means that we need to achieve a 10% profit target, which is in dollar amount 5,000 US dollars, and our daily loss limit is 4% of prior day close, which is 2,000 at start. Max drawdown is 7% of high watermark at AOD, end of the day equity, which is 3,500 at the start. For the moment, let's set aside these elements, prior day close, at start, and high watermark. These are very, very important elements. They are extremely important for you to understand the full implications of a one-step account, but I'm going to dig deeper into the end of the day trailing drawdown element in another video. For now, we keep it general and we focus on this number in this video. The 4% daily loss limit, this is your most important rule, at least at the beginning. When you are just a fresh beginner, you're approaching prop trading. To have a general knowledge of what you're doing, you really need to fully understand these rule, the daily loss limit, the max overall limit. Now, if you have what we mentioned, the 50K account, the daily loss limit is 2K. So that's a big difference with a two-step challenge where the daily loss limit would be 2,500 per day. It's an extra $500, which sounds small, but in days of big volatility and under pressure, you will discover in your career as a prop trader that is not a small difference. Now, in practice, what does it mean? You need to understand that you need a personal rule, which is that you need to set up your daily stop between 2 and 2.5%. You never have to use the full 4%. Otherwise, you will put yourself in a position of big pressure. If you keep a 2 to 2.5% forced stop loss in every day, you will lose maximum 1,000 to 1,250 per day, and that will preserve enough room for the second day without touching hard limits that will be very susceptible to volatility hits and will make you very easily lose the account. A risk management strategy that considers a stop loss not bigger than 2.5% per day means that if you're taking multiple trades, you should never risk more than 0.75% of the initial account balance per trade. As you can see, you can have a little bit more room in the two-step challenge. As already mentioned, never have more than 2.5% at risk across all the open position in every single day, otherwise you risk to hit the daily maximum drawdown point, size down in high volatility conditions, and then give yourself some breaks. For example, if you're down 1.5%, take a break and review conditions. And if you're down 2.5%, just stop for the day. Otherwise, you risk to approach the 4% hard limit. And then once you're there is no buffer. You risk to be kicked out from the challenge. Now let's have a look why this risk management strategy is important and how it protects your account from hitting not only the daily maximum drawdown, but also the overall maximum limit for the drawdown. As we mentioned before, in a 50K account with a maximum overall drawdown of 7%, your maximum loss will be 3,500, which means that if your account hits $46,500, you're out of the challenge. So if you keep a risk management strategy of a 2% maximum loss, it means that if you have 2 days in a row with that type of loss, you still have just around $1,500 in your account, which keeps you some buffer to allow recoveries. So day 4 or day 5, if you score better days, for example, an up of 3% or an up of 5%, you are able to come back to a positive equity in your account. And that's how your risk management strategy helps you come back on track without hitting the maximum loss and kicking you out of the challenge. However, you need to pay attention of the drawdown floor, because as you start to go up in equity, your drawdown floor will go up. That's the AOD trailing that we are not mentioning in this video. We will talk about that in another video in more details. Now, if you have a good risk management strategy, you can focus on achieving your profit target. Let's talk about timing. How long will it take for you to achieve a 10% profit target in your account? Theoretically, if you achieve a 2.5% per day, it will take you only 4 days. But for that, you need to be a really consistent expert trader with a proven edge. For beginners, it's better to take into account at least 2 to 3 weeks. If you're interested in passing faster, let's have a look at some realistic path. Let's say that in 3 qualifying days, you average 1.5% each. A qualifying day is a day where you make a profit of at least 0.5%. So in here, you average 3 times that, which is not a bad number, and you have a total of 4.5% per week. So week 1, 4.5%, week 2, 4.5%, you have a total of 9%, and then you give yourself a third week, or at least another day in a third week where you have 1% profit, and then you're there, you pass and you access the funded account. Don't forget that with Trade, you are working with a prop trading firm that has no time limit. And there is a good advice here, which is a pass in 6 weeks. It's worth more than a fail in 2. Obviously, 4.5% average profit per week is a number that is not impossible to achieve, but we are talking about beginners that have already kind of warmed up their skills. If you are an absolute beginner, probably you should consider the 2-step challenge, go back to an environment where you have less tighter limit, and you can have your time to develop an edge. Let's have a look at a comparison between the one-step and the two-step challenge, and let's wrap up this video by considering when you should choose the two-step challenge and when you are ready instead to move to the one-step challenge. So the one-step challenge has only one phase against two of the two-step challenge. Profit target is 10% against consolidate 15% that you need to reach in the two-step challenge. Daily loss limit 4% against 5%. Max drawdown in a one-step challenge is 7%. Less tighter limit in a two-step challenge to 10%. Challenge fee with value trade is $594. For the two-step challenge will be $540. The time to get funded in a one-step challenge is obviously faster, and the room for error is less in a one-step challenge than in the two. So choose the one-step challenge if you have already a proven track record of passing challenges and trading in live accounts, if you are used to trade in a strict rule framework with very tight daily cap and overall limits, and you want to be found faster and you're confident in your capabilities. Choose the two-step if you're new to prop trading, so you are an absolute beginner and you still have to hone your skills before going to the one-step challenge. If you want to have more caution to recover from losing days, and if you're willing to pay the cost in order to have an extra breathing room. My suggestion would be to consider, first of all, the full set of challenges normally offered by prop trading firms, and then consider which one of the two-step or one-step you want to take. For example, here at VeloTrade, you can see that there are, first of all, the 5K, 10K, and 25K challenges. These are the challenges for absolute beginners. The expense here, the budget that you invest, is very limited in these type of challenges. So you can learn at your own pace. You don't really make money here, but at least you can build up your edge without investing too much money. And then you can go to the money-making challenges, 5K, 100K, and 200K. So first of all, consider this section as a whole during your learning journey. And then for each challenge, consider the two-step, easier with lower cost, or the one-step, faster to access the funded account with a higher cost. If you are a prop trader, or if you are a trader interested in digging into the prop trading space, or if you are a crypto trader interested in having a funded account, I am currently selecting a number of traders to test a new crypto-native prop trading platform. So if you have a social media presence, if you have a channel, if you're a website or a network, just send me a message. I would be more than happy to give you a free challenge to test the platform and start to collaborate together. I'm going to put the email in the description of this video, and I look forward to hearing from you.